What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining my channel again today. So today we're going to be touching on the Western Australia seismic industry for petroleum. So this is all the surveying conducted on all the different leases throughout Western Australia to sort of determine where to drill when drilling for petroleum on those particular sites. So if I'm coming down here to start off with our dashboard, once again, this was all cleaned up through Power Query as per previous videos. If you haven't watched the previous videos yet, get back to episode one, go back to episode one and go one, two, three, and then this one, the number four, to see what this is all about. I'll be making a series of videos scaling the Australian petroleum industry or market before then moving into critical minerals and different forms of commodities that are mined for renewable energy. I'll be then linking this back into global economic sort of indicators and geopolitical solutions, and potentially linking it back with historical economic indicators over time, such as interest rates, GDP, inflation or CPI, etc. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel, and it gives me that motivation to keep pushing this journey of uncovering as much information from data in the Australian mining industry as possible. I'll be retrieving data from government-based websites and databases predominantly here. So I don't have any partnerships with private industry, and none of these videos are privately funded. So we'll be sticking with more of a sort of open source data approach here to sort of see what we can find out. So I guess, okay, starting off here, going back to this 2D and 3D seismic shot. So you can see here in Western Australia, 2D and 3D seismic, or 2D seismic has trended up since 1962 to 2023, because that's the period that the data's in here, with the year of 1997 being the highest there, where there was 20,400, no, 204,000, I think that is. Yeah, 204,799 square meters shot, or kilometers per square meters shot within that particular year for seismic. If I'm coming over here and I want to see, okay, what was shot on land over time, I can come back and have a look. Okay, what were the biggest years in Western Australia petroleum history for 2D seismic? So it was in 1982 and it was in 1985 here, okay? And then we just saw a massive drop here in the late 80s, in the 90s, okay? And we really haven't seen much in the seismic market in Western Australia, in the petroleum industry on land since. And this is because of, technological advancements. A lot of these leases have sort of being used again and again by different operators, or the same operators, and they've just used old seismic data that was maybe shot in the 80s and the 90s for further projects 20, 30 years later over here. They haven't gone and shot new data. And this comes back to technological advancements too. Existing seismic data can be reprocessed using advanced computing technologies. This allows for enhanced interpretations without needing to conduct new surveys, reducing the demand for new seismic acquisition. A lot of geophysicists can use the old data, and they can run it through their software and programs. If you're looking at sort of getting different sort of shape-based files, you can put this into QGIS and perform an analysis. If you've got a geophysicist that can code a bit in Python, you can sort of uncover some sort of trends and patterns there, in addition to understanding sort of the data and sort of then informing the drilling team or the drilling contractor company where to drill accordingly. So if we go to marine next, so offshore, we can see that offshore has actually trended up over time slightly for 2D seismic. So that probably comes back to some of the bigger players in the market, such as your Santos's, Chevron, um, you know, those sort of companies, even Shell and a couple of joint ventures, I believe, have moved more offshore with their petroleum, um, with their with drilling for petroleum and their petroleum extraction, commodity extraction, to sort of offshore-based rigs. And a lot of these seismic companies are more boat-based seismic companies that come in on boats and they put the equipment underwater and there's shallow water and deep water seismic depending on the level of the ocean that the operator for that particular lease is looking to extract petroleum out of. But yeah, we can sort of see that there is an overall sort of upward trend there. But once again, it was massive here in 97, so and quite big here in the 80s as well, or early 90s, this is, sorry. So we saw high for onshore seismic acquisition in the 80s and then for land, and then for offshore was quite high through the 90s, with some little peaks here in the 2000s. But, it's not really an industry that has seen big boom over the last sort of 20 to 30 years based on this data. Okay, next we're going to go down to total number of operators by year. So this is the total number of operators um, within the seismic market um, by year here. So we can sort of see that that's been trending down over time between 1951 to 2024. Once again, here, if we look at these peak periods, it was early 90s and through the 80s here that it was quite popular. And then there was a bit of a boom here as well in the early 70s. So haven't really seen much here down here, which would just suggest that a lot of these operators on these different leases are just recirculating old seismic-based data to, as I said, inform the drilling team where to drill and where to extract the commodity from. If we come down to total seismic contracts by year, down on the next one, we can see here that that's also trended down over time. So, not a lot of contracts here for the seismic companies in throughout WA, throughout this sort of last 20-year period, from 2005 here to here, it's really dried up. There's not a lot happening, which could suggest that it could potentially be, a a bit of a problem in the future in terms of an industry. There's also sort of regulatory and environmental based concerns, environmental concerns regarding the impact of seismic surveys on marine life, have increased scrutiny and potentially limited new survey approvals, changes in regulatory environments, such as those that might restrict new seismic surveying with certain exploration permits, can directly impact the amount of seismic work being conducted. This sort of surveying is also quite expensive. So, if it's a smaller based mining exploration company, let's just say I wanted to start a mining exploration company, and with a couple of guys, I might go, okay, I'm going to be the data analyst. I need a geophysicist. I might need a geologist, and maybe a petroleum engineer to start and I might find a team of 5 to 10 guys to sort of get the business up and running. And it's quite a costly process because you've got to get a lease and then you've got to explore on that particular lease to try and find where the commodity is located. Is there existing infrastructure in place that you can potentially use? Is there old seismic data that you can use to try and retrieve the commodity? Because if you're just looking at a new if you're just doing searching blindly, I guess, then you have to have the capital to be able to pay for the surveying to extract the commodity, so you don't know what's sort of underneath the ground. Um, so yeah, it's quite expensive. I guess my point is it's quite expensive to spend this amount of money on exploration. Um, so that could potentially decrease over time as bigger players, as I mentioned in previous videos, bigger players in the market are exiting, um, WA onshore and moving sort of offshore or, to other sort of areas or countries such as PNG and Alaska for petroleum-based projects. So I'm coming over here next. I can have a look at the contractors. So I can actually go down here and I can go through the different seismic companies and I can see, okay, what have these seismic companies done, um, you know, across across time here. So that is quite good to sort of have a look at the market, I guess, in terms of your seismic based companies to sort of see where where how they've sort of performed over time compared to other competitors in the market. You've also got new sort of seismic-based companies now, such as Fleet Space, that have the multi-nodal sort of technology, where they have sort of one really big node, and it takes and they use satellites to gather that data as opposed to more traditional based geophysical based methods. So that all changes market dynamics within this particular industry. So this is the data here that sort of cleaned up from retrieved from the Western Australia mining website, petroleum mining website. Over here, a bit of a confidence interval to sort of see, what's going to happen here. Realistically, we're looking at not a lot of growth within this field. We're not going to see these peaks again. Coming over here next, if we're looking here again, this is just sort of, these are the graphs that I've built and how I've calculated it out. All right, I'm just going to quickly touch here on tidal facility status just quickly. So this is the facility status for each lease here. So the petroleum tidal is the lease. We can go through here, have a bit of a look, and it just sort of tells us, the name of the site and who the operator is for the site, what's the status here. So this allows you another sort of competitive advantage because who's if you're providing, say some trucks to, let's say, electric trucks to the mining industry, for example, or AI automated trucks, you want to know, what facilities are operational, what companies are operational, and what sort of projects they've got happening on each lease. You can come in and have a look through this data here and sort of see what's been sort of suspended. You can look into why that was, and this all allows you to uncover business opportunities here by analyzing the data and saying, okay, what's happening in the market? Why is this happening? And then you can go and do your research, figure out the why, and then try and provide a solution to that particular problem. That's more of like an entrepreneurial type perspective there. And then lastly here, this just is another way, well, that's just the data that was cleaned. It was quite minimal there. All right, and lastly, I'm just going to go just quickly power pivot. So this was my main model here. So this is exposure of Western Australia mining industry here. So what I've done is I've actually connected, I'll show you how I've done it. So I go power pivot, manage the model. Okay, I'll wait for that to come up. I've shown, kind of went over this a little bit in episode 1 here. But basically, you can see here, I've got tidal status, well data, seismic data, and facility status data. And I have all my different sort of data sets down here. They're all connected. So to view this, I go diagram view. Okay, and we can see that, I've got a little bit of a schema here with different variables connected within different data sets. And what that allows me to do here is it allows me to connect different variables across different data sets together to uncover more information around what's happening. And this is a really powerful tool when it comes to business intelligence because you can uncover trends and patterns within a market that you would never know otherwise. And this is sort of why learning to use tools like Power Query and Power Pivot and Power BI as well is a very crucial element to modern data analytics and automation because it allows you to uncover trends and insights that weren't possible, going back 10 years ago. So down here, we've got lease titles, basin. So I know what basin that lease is in, who's the registered holder. So that's kind of like the operator, borehole operator, what company's that, who's it been drilled by, what year was it initially issued for the lease, what's the rig called, current status, is it active or not active, and then the type of title is an exploration permit, a production license, and that all just, once again, gives me a bit of an advantage when I'm looking into, okay, when I'm making assessments, I can go, well, what's happening, who's got what lease here in the market, and I can then use that information to further research and uncover what's happening on each particular lease. So coming over here, seismic data and title status. So that's just the title status video with the seismic status sort of video, two data sets together here now. We can see again, when was the lease issued, what year was the seismic shot. So basically that tells you for that particular lease, um, when was the seismic last shot on that particular lease? When did that lease expire? What seismic company shot the data? What basin was it in? What's the current status of the lease now? And over here, the operator, who owns that particular lease right now. Is it on land or is it onshore or is it offshore? And then how much seismic was shot um, on that particular lease. So that's another sort of powerful sort of tool there to uncover some opportunities, facilities. Coming in here, sort of similar to what I was sort of touching on before, you can sort of see the different names of the facilities and the statuses, what lease or title they're on, who has that title within the petroleum market, the total number of facilities operating here, 11 operational, 7 suspended, 2 ceased operation, and 1 not constructed. And further go into that and work out who they are if I want to, by going up here and filtering out facility status. And then last one here, just use Santos Wells rig release year here as an example, and go through all the different leases Santos has had here in terms of offshore and all the different basins. And I can then have a look at, okay, well, what year were these leases? Did they get these leases? So once again, that just allows me to uncover a bit of an idea as to sort of what's going on within this market. Start depth by drilling title down here. This gives me an idea of, okay, what's the minimum start depth of the drilling within these particular titles here in these basins with these operators here. So I can kind of go, okay, well, Buru Energy in the Canning Basin on EP 428 started at 12 meters. Quadrant Energy in Northern Carnarvon on WA 49L started at 356. And it just kind of, if you're in mining or you're interested in this sort of thing, you can uncover this quite quickly and potentially gain a competitive advantage or strategy over competition. Okay, and last one down here, yeah, just more again of the same, uncovering what's going on each particular lease here by basin, and then having a look at, who the operator is here or the registered leaseholder. A lot of these are joint venture-based partnerships, so that's you can sort of see here that Chevron and Mobil down here and Santos have got a joint venture sort of partnership here in the Northern Carnarvon that's active. And that's L1H, it's Petroleum Lease, borehole operator, WAPET. P&A is the status. So yeah, it's kind of just allows you to sort of have a bit of a look there and sort of see what's up. Hope you liked this video today, guys. And if you enjoyed me rambling on a little bit, hit the thumbs up. If you want shorter videos, be sure to hit in the comment section and express what you're looking for.